Well, I realize I need to keep making videos. I just have to approach it differently, but I also think that I probably should start a new channel. My name is Dan Paulson, if you haven't seen my work. I realized that early on, as I was working on figuring things out, going through the verses in a very simple way, the Gospel of Thomas and other, the Dhammapada from the Buddha, the Tao Te Ching from Lao Tzu, that at some point, you're going through things that are very touchy-feely, kind of kind, tender. People come on board with that. It's very popular. The more you get into it, the more you realize, okay, this is psychology. Afterlife does not mean after you die that there's something. What it means is that as far as interpreting the material, it has nothing to do with after you die. The afterlife means the second life, after you've become aware of that you've lived your life not paying attention and just become a product of our judged memories, and that we want to resolve those, and that getting through that is really what a resurrection is, or also what a being born actually means. And people are not very interested in that all of a sudden. But there's a pattern in the Bible that can be observed. The 3-7 numbering pattern that was put in there. I mean, it was there obviously conceptually, but I never would have seen it. It's only the way that it was, the chapters and verses were numbered in there, that leads you to realize there's a numbering pattern in here that we're supposed to examine and look at. People don't do that. When you do understand that the Bible is replicating nothing new from antiquity. It didn't start there. It's copying gods from other places. It doesn't sound like it, but it's conceptual, and that's the reason why. They're not external gods. It's an internal God that shifts the metaphoric representation of what it is. So Apsu is the higher self that creates the world in the Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish. But when things start going bad, Apsu is gone and out of the picture, completely gone, until it's time to come back and call Marduk, the called hero, for the destruction and restart. When we get to Genesis, we're going to see that the God who created everything, when the world goes bad, has left, is not even around while his sons come down and take among themselves the beautiful daughters of men. What the hell is that about? Okay, so God's sons are coming down and impregnating people on earth and creating monsters as a result. When does God come back? God comes back when it's time to call Noah for the destruction. Those are repeating motifs, and those are both the same character. Marduk and Noah are the same character, and there are only two out of many, 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 in not just in religious genre of carrying this template, but also in mythological genre. Anyway, it gets so deep that people don't understand it anymore. You have to read so much stuff. The people that are very, very intelligent and have read a lot of the Bible and they've got degrees in it, if that's all they've got, they're not talking about templates. They don't even see the 3-7 pattern that's in there that isn't a part of the template. So there's something that's in there at a deep level that takes I don't know exactly what it takes to see. It takes a lot of time. I think people have the cognitive ability, but you have to figure these out, blah, blah, blah. What I need to do is create a new channel and try to create videos in such a way that they're educational, shorter, smaller, that encompass things, that it's start encompassing more things. If you read multiple religions and multiple myths, you will observe patterns in them. If you only know one myth or one religion and that's all you hang on to, you don't observe the broad scope of the patterns. They're so well hidden. And long ago, people wouldn't have access to the entire pile. This is actually an example of how big it gets. You know how we see flood stories from multiple religions, from different cultures from around the world. There's flood stories. And people take that to mean that it was a true flood. Here's the deal. The flood story represents the idea of a purging, a washing out. This is our world. It's a common motif. It's a shared motif. But here's the deal. It's not the only one. If you understood that every time there's a called hero to destroy the world or to start things over, that is a called hero. However, you would see something else. When it's time to call Abraham, then it's time to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. When it's time to destroy Jericho, you call Joshua. Joshua is called and it's time to destroy Jericho. So what you're actually seeing is that more than a flood, that every time a hero is called, then something must be destroyed. And all of those represent your early world, your early self, the structure of your belief system, your city, your land, your whatever the case may be. Those are those shifting analogs that are always going to mean the same thing. This is your land. This is your kingdom. This is your space. You need to get it back. This is your vineyard. It's been taken over by bad people from the past. You need to get it back, but it's going to be a struggle. They're going to fight they're going to try to thwart you from, it's hard to turn inward is what that's teaching us about what hurts you. Rape, molestation. Okay, so it gets much deeper than just a flood story. It is a calling and a destruction. That's what's really there. And that's much bigger. That's every story. Anyway, well, it's something now that could be worked through. Does anybody have any ideas for me on what that channel should be? I don't think I should call it Just One Truth. It needs to be something different. I don't know if it should have Bible in the title. I don't know if it should have template in the title. Hero of 1,000 Faces, the Joseph Campbell one, which isn't accurate. It's not complete. And he missed 2 other templates, the creation template and the human life template, all the way up to the calling. All he got was the calling, the hero of 1,000 faces. Those other 2 templates are very hard to find. They're pretty rare. So I've gone places with this material that other people haven't gone, but only because it takes time to do it, and I've taken the time to do it. College will not teach this to you. You can have a degree in Bible studies, and you're not going to know this. Why? There's not a college that teaches this. These are the things you see on your own. When you go to college and learn, that's the blind leading the blind. That's that process there. Now you're able to regurgitate what the college is teaching you. However, if you step back, you go, wait a minute, there's something in there you're not seeing. It's like the old, my example I've used previously of like a fable. If you heard one called The Tortoise and the Hare and you never knew what the moral of the story was, you just take the story at face value. The hare thought he was faster than the tortoise and bragged about it, and the tortoise said, well, bring it on. So they had a race, and the fox was going to watch and see who won, and when it was time the fox was going to declare who the winner was, whoever crossed the finish line first. So the race starts, and the hare is gone, bam, gone, and the tortoise slowly moves along. And the hare is so far ahead that it decides, I'm going to just stop and take a rest. So he does. He stops and sits down and takes a rest, and falls asleep, and the tortoise slowly walks by him. And when the hare wakes up, he realizes, oh no, the tortoise is about to cross the line. He jumps up and heads off, but it's too late. He loses the race. So now if you didn't know what the moral of that story was, you would have to try to figure that out. There's the person who made that story made it into a teaching nugget. If you know that, this is a fable. Oh, okay, a fable is a teaching story that features animals, anthropomorphized creatures, broomsticks, things like that come to life. So here we have talking animals and a race that happened. All right, now we know that the moral is it's slow and steady that wins the race. We've been told that. But what we haven't been told is that there are multiple options. There could be more than one moral of this story. There's another possibility. This is going to be a clever brain that looks at this. Why isn't when you're almost finished, don't quit? When you've almost won, don't stop, don't rest. Finish it out. I mean, there's a couple of ways you can take that story to a deeper understanding. Something about your life. All right, so as without the moral known, if that was a religious story, it could be something like a theist would say, well, the tortoise won because he kept his eyes on God, kept the faith, didn't stop, kept going, chugging along, day by day, eyes on God. And the hare didn't. And the anti-theist or atheist would say, you know what, animals like that don't even talk. The race didn't happen. It's wrong. And the theist is saying, yes, it happened. It's true. It's written down. Here it is, factual. It's inspired by God. So they're arguing back and forth over the truth of the story, when in all reality, there's something neither one of them get that's nested in there. And the Bible is 100% that way. However, what it's nesting is always the same messages over and over again. A pathway of inner healing. God is up here. The man is the consciousness. The woman is the inner self. The offspring are our qualities. Bang, I slammed holes in the wall, kicked a hole in the hamper, you did something here or there. In anger, that's represented by the beautiful daughters of men having been corrupted, and now that needs to be destroyed. So the stories are metaphorical, and they're very deep, and they're also very old, so they're hard to wrap your head around. But I don't I don't know how to attract more. I mean, what would be more appealing? Something about templates or something about the Bible or something about the commonality? It's got to be a short name. How do you convey in a short name what you're trying to get across? That the entire Bible is man-made on a structure that is observable, and the numbering pattern in there was put in there in recent times to point that out to us. It was in there. The numbering pattern is kind of messed up when you look at it until you figure out why. It's not always perfect. Chapter and verse breaks are not always in logical places. Sometimes a chapter doesn't, like the two creation stories. Day 7 ended up on the second in chapter 2 in the 3rd verse, when actually that starts the second creation story right there. So there's an overlap right there. You go, why did he do that? Why didn't he put the chapter break at the end of 7 and then it starts the next one? Why is that there? That's the 7-3 break. 7th is said 3 times right there, and he put it, the last 7th, he put that last 7th on verse 3. There's something in there that we're supposed to observe at a deeper level. So that's very important. But if you get around the idea that, somebody's doing some weird gematria, all kinds of that kind of stuff, it isn't that at all. You can look at this numbering pattern, and it's much more, I would say, simple, reliable, it's accurate, it's observable. 7 is pure state, 3 is cause and effect. We're ready to live life. And the stories are going to continue to sequence that way. Pure state, 7, day 7, naked, unashamed in the garden. When does the flood happen and the restart happen? And we started out naked, and chapter 7 in the Bible, the flood happens, we end up naked again. We're uncovered from that. We have to understand those motifs are there, but they're about us. How do I convey that? I guess I can just teach that, but I do need to have a different channel that isn't so baggage ridden that this doesn't even get recommended. People don't like the videos. They don't comment on them or anything. They're not viewed. It's a channel that just doesn't get out anymore. It would be easier to start from scratch, and I don't know what to call it. And it's so big, I don't know how to even tap into it to begin with. It's pretty wild. Anyway, if you got any ideas, thoughts, questions, names for a new channel, and when I start it, I'll post here what that new channel is if anybody's interested in my continued work. All right. See you in the next video.